Hi, welcome to this week's All Things New study of Christian mystics and people who lived their lives in isolation and found unique joy there. Thanks so much for joining me on my internship project, and I hope that you have enjoyed it and found some of your own joy and inspiration through the lives of these Christians. I confess I have saved my very favorite for last, and that is Hildegard of Bingen. My own history with Hildegard is that I have been fascinated with her music for my whole life. In fact, my first trip into graduate school, I wrote a major paper on Hildegard's music that dipped into her theology. So it was really fun for me this time, about last year, to write a paper on her theology that dipped into her music. Fun fact, Richard Wagner is usually held up as the person who began what's known as the leitmotif in opera, which is giving each character their own musical theme that winds through the opera. But Hildegard actually did this first when she wrote an opera that had characters based on different philosophies and different character traits. And she gave each one of these characters their own theme that wove through the opera. She was a cool chicksa. She lived from 1098 about to 1179 about. And she was the 10th child in her very wealthy family, which meant, get this, that as the 10th, she was given away to the church as a tithe. She became an anchoress, which we've discussed before, means that she was walled up in an abbey to be the source of the Holy Spirit for those monks. Very, very interesting. Wasn't entirely uncomfortable. Her enclosure had a couple rooms and a walled garden. But she was in an inaccessible cell in this Benedictine monastery. She began having visions before that, though. As a small child, she saw God in visions and saw God as the light of the world and the light bringer into the world. Beautiful stuff. When she was 42, she felt that God had commanded her, spoken to her, to write down and publish these visions that she had had in times of intense prayer. And because of this, she was respected and also pretty intensely disliked by some religious leaders of the time. She eventually left that Benedictine monastery and began her own cloister, her own monastery for women. Her writings are just filled with these beautiful images of fire and light representing God. And she found her joy in that light, the light of the world. So I'm going to read you some brief parts of her work about patience and endurance, and about the Holy Spirit and the fire of the Spirit. And this is what she's written. Patience is wearing a white tunic, embroidered in green in all the folds. She clothes herself in the robe of God's work. This robe is made of the whiteness of perpetual light. The folds are embroidered with the sorrows of the person who laments, when will I finally see the true light? But we endure this waiting happily in our present life, because patience is thinking about what any delay foreshadows. The very adversities and calamities of the faithful adorn our souls with greenness. That we suffer them in patience on behalf of God makes us all the more beautiful. Holy Spirit, giving life to all life, moving all creatures, root of all things, washing them clean, wiping out their mistakes, healing their wounds. You are our true life, luminous, wonderful, awakening the heart from its ancient sleep. Fire of the Spirit, life of the lives of all creatures, spiral of sanctity, bond of all natures, glow of charity, lights of clarity, taste of sweetness to sinners. Be with us and hear us. Composer of all things, light of all the risen, key of salvation, release from the dark prison, hope of all unions, joy in the glory. Be with us and hear us. My prayer for you this week is that with Hildegard, you will consider your adversity and how you confront it, how you endure it, how you make peace with it, and how you give it to God to be something that makes you beautiful. That throughout these next stages of quarantine, of opening, of loss, or of gain, that in this incredible moment in our nation's history that is unlike anything we've ever experienced, and yet so much like what has been shown to us in the work of God, that you will embrace it, that you will find something new and fresh in yourself, in your faith, and in your relationship with God. And through that, you will find joy. Thank you again for being part of my internship journey. Thank you for your support, your questions, your work to be part of this. I appreciate it deeply, and thank you very, very much. Have a fantastic day.